Oh,
well, that's blurry.
That was so blurry. I'm Austin.
I'm Melissa.
And this is Achilles. So if you haven't seen our video yet where we did a vlog and we did Instacart, click this video here and we're going to actually show us doing a day in the life of what it's like to be an Instacart shopper for 4 hours and seeing how much we make. So it's definitely interesting. I highly recommend to check it out.
Today we're going to be talking about the pros and cons of Instacart, so let's get into it. So we have a list on our phone, so that's what we're going to be talking about today. So we're going to start with cons. First con is that it takes a long time to become an Instacart shopper. I personally applied 2 months ago and I'm still on the waiting list.
Yeah, and even when I applied, it took about a month to 2 months for applying, becoming a shopper itself, getting the background check processed, and then after everything's said and done, becoming an actual shopper. Another con is that you do end up having to drive a lot. That's kind of the point, right? You go to a store, you grocery shop for people, and then you take them to their house or apartment or whatever. Boop.
So another con is you have to wait for orders. If you live in a busy area, that's really great because you'll probably have a lot of orders, but the key is to wait for good orders. Don't be afraid to wait.
So one huge con that you're just gonna have to deal with, because this is like a thing, is that if you have a store that is in a dead zone, like in the black hole of cellular service, and especially if you have T-Mobile or Sprint, just don't even bother being an Instacart shopper. But if you have just a store that is a trouble store with terrible cell phone reception, you have to deal with app glitches, because it's going to happen. If you do not have service and you're going to deal with the barcode not scanning, you're going to deal with not being able to proceed to checkout because it's stopped and you're just freaking out because we did say time is everything in Instacart. You're going to have to deal with all this stuff. So that's just something that sucks, and be prepared for it to happen because it will happen to you. So when it comes to glitches, not only does the app glitch with just terrible cell phone service, but it also can glitch on location and mileage. And this really sucks because you get paid per mile. So if you're looking up and swiping up on an order and you see that it is 3 miles from the store to the customer's house, but in all actuality it's 6 or 7 or 8 miles, you can potentially get screwed out of some money because you are only getting compensated for the miles that the app has. Then you gotta go through customer service, you gotta get prove that you have more miles, and it's just absolutely a headache. And then even speaking to that, they might even have a different address altogether. They might have an address in the system that the system is tracking where the end goal is to get all the stuff to the customer, but then in the notes the customer will have, hey, actually deliver to this address instead of the one listed. And then you got to explain to the customer that you're only getting paid for the mileage. This could be freaking 20 miles the wrong direction. You never know.
Another problem that's seen with Instacart is tip baiting. So this is whenever somebody gives you a really high tip and then they change it later on because this app allows the customer to change the tip. So this actually happened to us yesterday when we were shopping, where we were originally supposed to get $50-some for an order, and by the time we delivered it, we only got like 20 or 30.
Y'all are doing Instacart and you swipe up and it does show you how much Instacart specifically paying you and the customer. Bro, if you see a tip that just has like $50 or $60, don't even take it. Like, I promise you right now, there will be like that 1% chance where they're just either wealthy or don't care about money and they're actually feeling generous, but 99% of the time, they're probably just tip baiting you because it's a terrible order anyway, so just don't take it. We learned from our mistake yesterday, don't do it. All right, to speak a little bit more onto the tip baiting, and our specific situation we happened yesterday is this woman lived on the 3rd floor of an apartment complex, all the way from the parking lot and on the sidewalk. We had to make like 3 different trips, 4 different cases of water, and it was just insane. And we had to do all this for our tip to be taken away, and we made like no money.
If you're a good human being who makes an order, don't tip bait people. That is literally really, really messed up.
Yo, either tip your Instacart shoppers or go freaking do it yourself.
This is not Instacart's fault. I've actually did a little bit of research to kind of understand how this tip baiting works. So Instacart actually made a plan in place that kind of prevents this scam from happening. So if a user decides to cancel people's tips multiple times, they're actually banned from the app. So we applaud Instacart for at least trying to help out.
Yeah.
So these next 2 are kind of pros and cons depending on how you want to look at them. So one is that you're doing a lot of heavy lifting, you're doing a lot of physical activity, you're going to be walking. If a person orders a lot of groceries, that's a lot of groceries you're going to have to carry, sometimes up 3 flights of stairs. You know what this is about. Anyways, yes, you're sometimes having to take 20 pounds of dog food, 40 pounds of dog food. But from my understanding, Instacart does compensate you with that by raising the price of a heavy lifting fee.
And then the last one would be tips, okay? So yes, like she said, it can be a pro and con depending on how much you get paid, but just like we talked about earlier, tip baiting is like a real thing in Instacart, so you're like half of your pay, if not more, is reliant on tips because Instacart just sucks sometimes at paying you. Mm-hmm. So if you really rely on tips, you gotta rely on the goodness of people's hearts sometimes, and you gotta rely on your customer service. You've gotta be really focused on the customer, take care of them, be quick when you're in there, and all the little things add up to the customer making sure you get your tip and keeping your tip, mm-hmm. and then you can make some good money that way.
So these next things are just kind of general cons. They're not related to the app at all. It's just kind of stuff that you're gonna have when you do these kinds of jobs. So 1 is obviously you need a car. 2 is sometimes it can be hard to find parking. And 3 is you have to keep money aside if you make a lot of money to pay your taxes.
Yeah, because when it comes to taxes, a lot of people don't really realize this going into it, but you have to do your own taxes. So the 2 main workers in the workforce, right, is a W-2 worker and a 1099 worker. It's just a fancy term for what type of form do you use to do your taxes. And for this, you're considered an independent contractor for Instacart themselves. So at the end of the year for tax season around April, actually around June, February, they'll give you a 1099 form with all the money you've earned on Instacart. Now it's up to you to do your own taxes. I use TurboTax, but you use an accountant, you can use it whoever. And I typically think it's a good rule of thumb to take 20 to 25%, depending on what state you're in, of everything you make and just put it in some type of savings account. Forget it, don't even look at it, don't touch it, because you gotta pay your taxes or the IRS will take everything, including the car to make Instacart money.
So make sure you pay your taxes. So before we move into the pros, I think we need a coffee break.
Let's go.
Now we're going to talk about the pros of Instacart. So 1 is that you don't really have to talk to people. Every now and then you'll have to call the person or you'll have to text them, but most of the time you don't really have any contact with them at all. You just take your groceries, drop them off at the door, and leave.
And another thing when it comes to not talking to people is the other big thing on why people hate normal jobs, and that's you get to choose your own hours. When it comes to Instacart, you get paid as much as you want to work. So if you don't want to work at all, you suck. But if you do want to get paid a lot of money, you can make this a 7, 8, 9 hour job because around 7 in the morning to 7 in the afternoon is the prime hour. So you can make a lot of money if you are willing to work a lot.
Instacart is a very easy job and it doesn't require any type of certification or degree. So with this being said, the only thing you really need is a driver's license. It's literally as easy as getting in your car and going down the road to the grocery store. As long as you have a phone too, that's kind of a necessity.
Yep.
So if you're like some people who spent thousands of dollars in a college education that doesn't even use it, you don't need a degree to do this job.
Including to not need any type of education, and a caveman can do this as long as they can read and talk and drive. You make $28 an hour on average. That's what we found for the day that we work. Now, obviously this can fluctuate depending on where you work at, what day you work at, because there are charts on Instacart that show you the daily trends. But this all matters so many different factors. But for us, we made $28 an hour, and I think even plus or minus that is really good in our opinion, and it's a really good, 1099 job if you're looking for, a side hustle, something to make some extra money on.
Especially without an education.
When it comes to Instacart overall, at the end of the day, when you go to your normal job, you don't really get to choose what you want to do, right? Like you have to go to your job and you're kind of either told what to do or you already have a list of things you need to do. Instacart, you can choose exactly what batch you want to take. It's available batches. You choose how much and you roughly know how much you're going to make. You are in control of not only your time, but the batches itself that you want to do. If you want to go for just a drive, but you want to get paid to do it, you can choose batches that take longer time. So you don't have to really get paid per hour. You want to get out and drive, but you want to get paid to do it. You can drive, you can listen to podcasts, you can listen to music, you can relax, you can do whatever you want from the store to the customer's house. Just don't die, obviously, or you don't make any money. And that's about it.
And don't wreck, because that will cost you money.
Yeah.
And just throwing this little tip in there, yes, it's very important of how quick that you are to get to the person, to the order, to do all that. But make sure that you are not speeding, because one, we do not want you to get into a car accident. That is just not safe. It's going to cost you money in the end. And also, please don't get a ticket, because that's just ignorant. It's not worth it. You're going to be losing out all the money that you worked so hard for. So,
Not liable.
yeah, we are not liable. We're not paying your ticket.
Neither is Achilles.
No, he doesn't have a job.
So make sure you definitely hit that subscribe button, because we are going to be coming out with another video on this same type of topic, same, sitting on the couch, just breaking it down, talking about DoorDash. So if you're interested in DoorDash versus Instacart, anything like that, definitely stick around for that.
And we have Achilles here with us today, so make sure you like, subscribe for Achilles, and click the bells to be reminded of our upcoming videos. Bye. 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 Now we're going to talk about the pros of Instacart. So one is that you don't have to talk to people unless it's like maybe on the phone every now and then, and we're...